So we shall start with Virgin Atlantic Airbus A350-1034, registration Golf Victor Lima Indigo Bravo, working flight VS74, arriving from Orlando. Next for arrival is Ryanair Boeing 737-8AS, registration Echo Indigo Echo Foxtrot Echo, working flight FR3186, arriving from Madrid. Next up is Scandinavian Airlines Mitsubishi CRJ-900LR, registration Echo Indigo Golf Echo Hotel, working flight SK539 from Copenhagen. Next up is TUI Airways Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner, registration Golf Tango Uniform Indigo Juliet, working flight BY193 from Cancun. Next up we have Air France Airbus A320-214, registration Foxtrot Hotel Echo Papa Golf, working flight AF1668 from Paris. Next up will be Scandinavian Airlines Airbus A320-251N, registration Sierra Echo Romeo Oscar Oscar, working flight SK2547 from Stockholm. Next up we have Loganair ATR 72-600, registration Golf Lima Mike Tango Echo, working flight LM693 from the Isle of Man. Next up for TUI Airways we have Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner, registration Golf Tango Uniform Indigo Delta, working flight BY175 from Varadero. Next up we have Lufthansa Airbus A320-214, registration Delta Alpha Indigo Whiskey Delta, working flight LH2500 from Munich. Next up we have EasyJet Airbus A320-214, registration Golf Echo Zulu Oscar Foxtrot, working flight U21832 from Amsterdam. Next up we have KLM Boeing 737-9K2, registration Papa Hotel Bravo X-Ray Sierra, working flight KL1073 from Amsterdam. Next up we have Ryanair Boeing 737-8AS, registration Echo Indigo Delta Whiskey Bravo, working flight FR3239 from Brussels. Next up we have Brussels Airlines Airbus A320-214, registration Oscar Oscar Sierra November Indigo, working flight SN2173, also from Brussels. Next up we have Airbus Canada Airbus A330-343, registration Charlie Golf Kilo Uniform Hotel, working flight AC808 from Toronto. Next up we have Aer Lingus ATR 72-600, registration Echo Indigo Golf Papa Papa, and that is working flight EI3612 from Belfast. Next up we have Lufthansa Airbus A321-231, registration Delta Alpha Indigo Sierra Juliet, working flights LH942 from Frankfurt. Next up is Kuwait Airways Airbus A320-251N, registration 9 Kilo Alpha Kilo November, working flight KU113 from Kuwait City. Next up we have Ryanair Boeing 737-8AS, registration 9 Hotel Quebec Echo Papa, working flight FR1144 from Berlin. Next up, Ryanair Boeing 737-8AS, registration Echo Indigo Echo Bravo Victor, working flight FR3219 from Milan. Mind that. Next we have Pegasus Airbus A320-251N, registration Tango Charlie November Charlie Yankee, working flight PC1815 from Antalya. Next up we have EasyJet Airbus A319-111, registration Golf Echo Zulu Foxtrot Uniform, working flight U21856, coming from Barcelona. Next up we have privately owned Dassault Falcon 50EX, registration Mike Oscar Delta Uniform Sierra, working a flight in from Dundee. Next up we have Iceland Air Boeing 737 MAX-8, registration Tango Foxtrot Indigo Charlie Mike, working flight FI440 from Reykjavik. Next up we have Air Transat Airbus A330-243, registration Charlie Golf Uniform Bravo Charlie, working flight TZS206 from Toronto. And next on the show is TY Airways Boeing 737-8K5, registration Golf Foxtrot Delta Zulu X-Ray, working flight BY2221, and that comes from Girona.
Yeah, I'm going, mate. I'm going.
Next up we have Ryanair Boeing 737-8AS, registration Echo Indigo Delta Yankee Romeo, working flight FR4087 from Faro. Another Ryanair behind him, this time Ryanair Boeing 737-8AS, registration Echo Indigo Echo Kilo Hotel, working flight FR1280 from Treviso. Next we have EasyJet Airbus A320-214, registration Golf Echo Zulu Tango Romeo, working flight U21926, and that comes from Paris. Another EasyJet flight, this time EasyJet Airbus A320-214, registration Golf Echo Zulu Oscar Uniform, working flight U21936, coming from Ibiza. Next up we have Aer Lingus Regional ATR 72-600, registration Echo Indigo Hotel Delta Hotel, working flight EI 3324, and that comes from Dublin. Next to arrive from an unknown destination is Embraer Phenom 300, unknown registration, working flight E55P. Next up we have Orogeny Air Services ATR 72-600, registration Golf Oscar Alpha Tango Romeo, working flight GR 670, and that comes from Guernsey. Next up we have Loganair ATR 72-600, registration Golf Lima Mike Tango Alpha, and that's working flight LM25 from Aberdeen. Next up we have TUI Airways Boeing 737-8K5, registration Golf Tango Alpha Whiskey Papa, working flight BY2207 from Puya. Next up we have Pegasus Airbus A320-251N, registration Tango Charlie November Bravo Alpha, and that's working flight PC1179 from Istanbul. Next up we have Ryanair Boeing 737-8AS, registration Echo Indigo Delta Hotel Foxtrot, working flight FR554 from Dublin. Next up is EasyJet's Neo livery, Airbus A320-251N, registration Golf Uniform Zulu Hotel Charlie, working flight U21912 from Palma de Mallorca. Next up we have Turkish Airlines Airbus A330-203, registration Tango Charlie Juliet November Delta, working flight TK1993 from Istanbul. Next up in the Expo 2010-20 Sustainability livery is Emirates Airbus A330-861, registration Alpha 6 Echo Oscar Kilo, and that's working flight EK17 from Dubai. Next up we have Ryanair Boeing 737-8AS, registration Echo Indigo Echo Mike Foxtrot, and that's working flight FR4097 from Riga. Next up we have Turkish Airlines Airbus A321-231, registration Tango Charlie Juliet Tango Indigo, working flight TK1991 from Istanbul. Next up is Ryanair Boeing 737-8AS, registration Echo Indigo Golf Sierra Indigo, working flight FR7543, coming from Barcelona. Next up we have Austrian Airways Airbus A320-214, registration Oscar Echo Lima Zulu Delta, working flight OS463, coming from Vienna. Next up we have Scandinavian Airways Airbus A320-251N, registration Echo Indigo Sierra Indigo November, working flight SK4609 from Oslo. Next we have EasyJet Airbus A320-251N, registration Golf Uniform Zulu Hotel Uniform, working flight U21968, and that's come from Split. Next we have EasyJet Boeing 737 MAX 8-200, registration Echo Indigo Hotel Mike Tango, working flight FR4006, and that's come from Alicante. Next up we have EATIS Honda HA-420 Honda Jet, registration Foxtrot Hotel Oscar November Delta, working flight SRK 97 from Paris. Next up we have TUI Airways Boeing 737 MAX 8, registration Golf Tango Uniform Mike Whiskey, working flight BY2271, and that's come from Royce. Next we have Jet2 Holidays Boeing 737-8KN, registration Golf Delta Romeo Tango Kilo, working flight LS170, that's come from Ibiza. Next into the airport we have Ryanair Boeing 737-8AS, registration Golf Romeo Uniform Kilo Charlie, working flight RK2627, also from Ibiza. Next in we have Qatar Airways Boeing 777-3DZER, registration Alpha 7 Bravo Alpha Tango, working flight QR27 from Doha. Next we have EasyJet Airbus A320-214, registration Golf Echo Zulu Papa Echo, working flight U21848, and that's come from Pisa. Next in we have Jet2 Holidays Airbus A320-211, registration Golf Hotel Lima Yankee Bravo, working flight LS876, and that comes from Faro. Next up we have Sun Express Airbus A320-232, registration Lima Yankee Mike Lima November, working flight XQ592, and that's come from Antalya. Next up we have Saudia Airlines Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner, registration Hotel Zulu Alpha Romeo Charlie, working flight SV123 from Jeddah. Next up we have EasyJet Airbus A320-214, registration Golf Echo Zulu Papa Bravo, working flight U21964 from Gibraltar. Next in we have Carodan Airlines, Boeing 737 MAX 8, registration Tango Charlie Mike Kilo Foxtrot, working flight XC8125 from Antalya. Next up we have TUI Airways Boeing 737-8K5, registration Golf Tango Alpha Whiskey Golf, working flight BY2235 from Alicante. Next in we have Jet2 Holidays Airbus A330-243, registration Golf Victor Yankee Golf Mike, working flight LS832 from Palma de Mallorca. Next in we have EasyJet Airbus A320-251N, registration Golf Uniform Zulu Hotel X-Ray, working flight U21966, and that comes from Naples. Next in we have EasyJet Airbus A319-111, registration Golf Echo Zulu Foxtrot Whiskey, working flight U21992, and that's come from Kefalonia. Next up we have Ryanair Boeing 737-8AS, registration Sierra Papa Romeo Sierra Quebec, working flight FR4095, and that's come from Gdansk. Next up we have EasyJet Airbus A320-251N, registration Golf Uniform Zulu Hotel Papa, working flight U21998 from Lucca. Next up we have Vueling Airbus A320-216, registration Echo Charlie Kilo Hotel November, working flight VY8748, coming from Barcelona. Next up we have Jordan Aviation Airbus A330-203, registration Juliet Yankee Juliet Victor Bravo, working flight R54491, and that's from Islamabad. Next up we have Jet2 Holidays Boeing 737-85P, registration Golf Delta Romeo Tango Alpha, working flight LS916, and that comes from Split. Next in we have Ryanair Boeing 737-8AS, registration Golf Romeo Uniform Kilo Delta, working flight RK2603, and that's come from Valencia. Also behind that is Ryanair Boeing 737-8AS, registration Sierra Papa Romeo Kilo Delta, working flight FR7547, and that's from Posen. Next behind that, another Ryanair Boeing 737-8AS, registration Golf Romeo Uniform Kilo Foxtrot, and that's working flight RK3837 from Mahon. Next we have Aer Lingus Airbus A320-214, registration Echo Indigo Delta Echo Lima, working flight EI208, and that's come from Dublin. And your final plane of the session is Turkish Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 9, registration Tango Charlie Lima Yankee Alpha, and that's working flight TK4009, and that's come from Antalya. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed what you saw, click on the 2 videos here at the end screen. Helps out the channel. Also, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you are new and got this far. And we'll see you all in the next video, folks, wherever that may take us. We'll see you then, folks.